Hello. Thank you so much for coming to the class today. It's been a while since you've shown up. Please excuse the drink. I've been a little bit thirsty. I've gotten a little thirsty from waiting for you to come. Are you ready to begin the lesson? I know it's been a while for you, so I'll try and catch you up on our curriculum and where we're at. We're going over the history during the period of major evolution and all that stuff. So I know it's definitely going to be a little bit complex for you, but I'm just going to give you a quick rundown just so you can catch up with the rest of the class, and hopefully that shouldn't be too complicated for you. Alright, are you ready? Do you have everything to take notes? You need a pencil? Okay. Gotta bring your own pencil to this class. Also, excuse the cleaning staff. They're working on stuff, I had to set aside this time for you to come in and catch up, and unfortunately, the cost of that is the poor studying environment for you. So, come to class on time. Okay, here's a pencil. Okay. Let's get started. Okay, so we left off with the colonization of Mars, right? Okay. Let's just get into it then. So, we have the Martians, the humans that evolved to live on Mars in a sustainable way. So this is a little bit of an overview of what they looked like. They had a little bit of elongated faces, as you can see, and eyes were a little bit disproportionate. Of course, they still had hair, and just these kind of longer lips to absorb the type of water that was on Mars. And then when the Martians and the Earthlings had a war, they decided to set aside their differences and go ahead and start a combination of a race and mate with the humans on Earth, and that resulted in the Star People. Amazing intellectuals, very forward-thinking, had bigger brain space, better fashion in my opinion. And then there was the attack of the Q. So write this down. It's Q-U. And you pronounce it Q. And the Q, the main situation that they had was they were, in their minds, just straight up gods. They had this very religious kind of motivation for taking control of all the species in the universe, and they were really offended by the fact that the humans and the Martians were kind of making their own race and making their own species, and so because of that it resulted in a massive takeover, and the Q were kind of modified. They modified themselves and other creatures so that they could, deal with all these different species and, kind of make them into whatever they wanted to be. Kind of like a mixture of a praying mantis and like a dragonfly. So the first species that they created out of the humans on Earth were called the worms. So they would basically take different body parts and these human parts of them and just construct them into different creatures. So some of them still have human sentience, some of them still have human traits, and just, the skin. own time. You just have to come. You can't just show up whenever you want, you know. I set aside this time for you. It's a distracting time. That's the cost benefit analysis of that. Alright, well, we'll get back into it. These are the worms. So they're the first people that the Q made. And obviously you can still see they have kind of a humanoid look to them, but their eyes are like little poppy seeds. Their eyes are just little beads. Their mouths are gaping. Of course, they're like in kind of this like a very elongated torsos, and what they would do is they would dig around in the dirt because they were placed on a planet that was like, you know, New Mexico, Arizona level desert, storm, heat, just unbearable. The next species they were a little bit more generous with, they were called the Titans, and the Titans had a lot of human consciousness to them and wisdom, and what they would do is they had these very long lower lips that were kind of like elephant trunks, and they would march around and kind of they had a lot of memory of their past and what they used to be, and that kind of took a toll on them in a way, you know, because they couldn't really, you know, there were a lot of creatures where they had all the information and they couldn't do anything to change it because they were totally reconstructed by the Q, and they were trapped in this world and as having these, you know, body parts and everything. So it was really torturing for them. Then you had the predators and the prey, and these species of humans that the Q modified were kind of, the predators had a lot of human instinct to analyze situations, and the prey were just stupid. They were just these mindless little humanoid little critters, and they would just drudge around with nothing in their head except for like animalistic herd, you know, mentality. And the predators kind of had the opposite side of that. They had this kind of like carnal drive to attack. So that one's pretty straightforward. We'll get through a few more before I do have to go take a break. But the next year, the mantelopes, and the mantelopes had it really hard because the Q allowed them to have all the memories and all the sentience and all the consciousness of the fact that they were humans and the torture that they went through, you know, but they were in these obviously antelope-like forms, so all they could do was just walk around, eat grass, and they were known to sing, but they were only allowed to sing when the Q came to visit them, and they were like, hey, sing us a song, sing us a sad ass song. So the antelopes would be like, oh my god, and they would start singing for them. The last few, we have the lizard herders. And the actual humans, they weren't too far off from like, you know, early human life. But they were very dumb. They were extremely brain dead, I would say. And the lizards were actually more, they had more intelligence than the actual lizard herders, so that would kind of come into play later. Then the Q did decide to place animals in water and air, not just on land. So they did make these creatures, which I find one of the most interesting ones, called the swimmers, because it's an aquatic animal, but you can just see the human elements in it. You can see the human eyes. You can see how the hands were kind of made into fins. You can see, like, you know, just the structure of the body. It's very, it's kind of the way that human spines are in a way. And how the face is kind of tilted out rather than just straight forward like a shark. And the swimmers were actually pretty creative. They couldn't talk in the same way as land humans did, but they did have this way of communicating and adapting to their environment. And then the last one we'll talk about today is the tempters. And the tempters I find extremely disturbing. They were kind of these like little pillars of flesh, and this is the female part and this is the male, And the tempters, they would kind of, all they would communicate about was mating, essentially. And it was kind of like this hive mindset, like this is the queen and all the males are like the little imp guys, and they would go down, provide food and nutrients for the female, and sometimes they would go and mate in this little tube, and the females would be like, hey, bring me food or have sex with me. They would just like click their little teeth here. And it's just insane that the fact that these are humans, you know, these are modified humans. Anyways, there's a lot more disturbing stuff in this section of the course, and we'll get to that definitely later. I'm just looking through all the slides. It's pretty gnarly, I do have to say. I know I went through that kind of fast. I'm not going to go over it again. I don't have a PowerPoint online, and there's some information about this. Don't look at Wikipedia. Don't watch YouTube videos. Don't do any outside research. Just, this is what I'm telling you now. This is all you're getting. And there's going to be a test on this in 2 days. So I hope you're prepared. And if I don't get through all the content, you're just going to have to use your intuition for it. But yeah, this is a major section, and it's a major part of your grade for your degree here. So lots of pressure. Lots and lots of pressure. And, you know, the truth of the matter is, this could happen again. The Q could come back. This is all extremely factual reality. This happened. So, you know, it's better for you to know about it than to not know, because who knows when this could all take place. You know, you don't want to be stuck as one of those things. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Peace.